Hello, my name is Angelica Alvarado, and I will be focusing on the post-conference classroom observation, and I observed Catherine Lopez Ramos. The objective of the lesson was to introduce the students to domain and range. In addition, the students were able to understand the concepts of function, the use of a function, and function notation. Now, I just want to start off by saying thank you for allowing me to come into your classroom and observe your lesson with your students. And I just want to ask by saying, how do you think your lesson went?
I think it went really well. I mean, the students seem to have grasped the concept, based on their cues and based on how the lesson was going. I kept checking, to make sure that they were understanding. And I only had one kid that really just said, "Oh, can you repeat something?" And being the second day of school, that's really great that she was able to do that because then it shows like you can ask, So I think overall the lesson went really well, just based on how of my observation of the students and their cues. So.
Thank you, yes. Also, you wanted me to focus on guided practice, checking for understanding and closure. How did you think that went?
Um, So the checking for understanding, I had them do problems on their own, like the U try problems. And as I was monitoring, I did see them completing on their own. They were checking their work, with each other. So I think that the checking for understanding part went really well. They were understanding the concepts really well. The guided practice, I did the best that I could with the color coding and, um, just trying to do step by step with the time allotted. I try to do like step by step and, um, went a little fast, but I think I did okay. Um, and the closure, just having them review at the very, very end, like what we did. I think it went well as well. I mean, I don't know, just their cues, everything just was very positive. I didn't see any kids really like, being super afraid or just sitting there and like not doing anything. So.
Yes, and I completely agree with you because the flow of your lesson went smooth and the transitions were smooth, and then it's just everything was clear. And you set that tone, especially when you set the expectation. And you giving them clear expectations and directions allowed the students to understand what they needed to do. Something that I really liked that you were able to demonstrate was to state and write the definitions for the unit packet, and that was something that they needed, and it was accessible to all the students. So as you were writing, the students can view it on the DocCam. Another thing that I noticed was you were able to guide students for their understanding using those highlighters with the green and the pink highlighter, and I think that was a really good way to check for understanding and then guide them toward the practice of the domain and the range using the y and the x-axis. Something that I would probably recommend for you is the repetition of the definition. Have them like pair talk with each other about range and domain, just so they can have a deeper understanding of the math content vocabulary. And then I wanted to ask you, how were you gauging and seeing if the students were engaged in the lesson?
Well, just because of the highlighting that was happening, and we were writing and constantly kind of going. Like I saw them definitely moving their pencils the whole time. I didn't see anybody sitting back. Also, when I'm doing notes, I tend to stand up and do rounds around the room just to make sure that they are on task. Usually when I have my co-teacher, she does that for me. But since I'm here on my own, I try to like just monitor, watch them, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to, especially for their notes. And I kept repeating, "These are your notes. They're going to be useful. So please highlight. Please write everything I write down. Check your work." So I make that very, that's the expectation.
I agree with you. I noticed that a lot of the students were actively engaged in writing, and for you providing that purpose for the notes and for them to take it home and refer back to it. So making sure that they write it clear and legible. You had mentioned about not having it like chicken scratched. So you gave them a really purposeful meaning of having it clear and evident that you demonstrated that during the lesson. What were some of the ways that you were assessing their learning? We had mentioned the highlighting, right? I also noticed that you were asking questions throughout the whole lesson and process, which is something that I really enjoyed seeing, that you just kept on asking them, and some of the students would respond back to you. However, there was one or two little same children responding, and so clearly that they were understanding. Maybe something that we could have done, allowing them to give you like a thumb check, like a thumb up, yes, I got it, thumb to the side, I'm still not understanding, and thumbs down, like I have no idea what this is about. Maybe that will monitor their comprehension and lead you to more gauging out on who knows it and who doesn't. And as you were monitoring, and I think that was a really good thing, that you praised one of the girls and you said, I really like the way so and so is going back and checking her work. That was another way of guiding other students around them to say, hey, I want to be acknowledged or praised. So vocalizing it will definitely give you a way to understand where the kids are at. I also want to mention that you asked them a question, and it was during the graphing part, and you asked them, and even for myself, I was like, whoa, that's a lot of vocabulary words. But then you guided them to the answers, and you went over to the dot cam, and you showed them, like, what is the left side of the graph. And I think that was really amazing on how you did that. So great job on that. Another thing that I would probably recommend after the practicing of the we do, allowing students to share their responses with their partners, because I noticed that you guys checked the work together, and it was more like, let's allow them to do more partner work. And I know it could be different in high school, and due to the time, I definitely understand that you guys need to do at a certain pace. So maybe that could be a suggestion with the time when you have more of a allotted time. And for your closure, I know that you went from one activity to the next and then the next page, maybe allowing the students to explain the objective just really quick. Hey, what did we do today? And just closing that activity and then continuing on to the next. Okay. But overall, I think you did a really great job in transitioning, and you were just on pace. There was no downtime, and so the kids were always stimulated with the content. If you could do the lesson over, what would you change?
I think that just getting more student responses, or different student responses, I should say. It's not, I was getting those same couple kids that you're talking about, like, for most of this stuff. And I know that I realize I don't know all their names yet, but one thing that I do have is like the colored stickers and the names, or the colors and the numbers. So I could have been like, table 6 yellow, can you tell me what you got, so that it could have been a different, different kids, because I don't know all their names yet. So just probably that, just getting different responses, even if I have to use that. Or I know that I'm working on doing like the little name sticks, so I'll get those soon, but I should probably just get those like now. But yeah, probably just getting different student responses.
Yeah, I like that idea, how you have the colored dots on your tables, and with the numbers, I didn't notice that there were numbers on them. I think that's a fantastic idea. So I just want to say thank you, and again, our next observation will be the 2nd of August, and I look forward to seeing your classroom. We can focus on the same thing or something different, and we can discuss that on the pre-observation. But thank you again. Let me stop this.